Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So for anyone who has watched my videos before, you can probably tell that this one's a little bit different. It's now featuring my beautiful face on the videos. Hello. So hi, I'm George. I'm Good Lad Gamer. I purchased a new laptop a couple of weeks ago, and I'm finally set up on it and trying to do my first video, trying to capture my first video on it while playing Raid. I just got to learn how to edit in the background, and hopefully I'll be good to go. But I'll do that, and I'll figure that out, I'm sure. So in today's video, I want to go through my clan boss teams on both of my accounts. If you watched any of my previous videos, I've mentioned that I've built a Batman Forever team on both of my accounts now. I've been very fortunate, and I've got the unkillable champions that I need and a seeker and everything like that to be able to build these champs, to be able to build one of these comps. So I'm going to go through each of the champs that I use on both of my accounts, the gear that they're running and the masteries that they have, and then show you a run basically on both of the accounts. I'll speed up the actual runs because they take about 15 to 20 minutes. And then hopefully you guys, if you've got the champions to do it, you'll be able to build one yourself. I'll show you the speed variations that are advised for this build. I do use the Deadwood Jedi calculator, so I'll show you the speeds within that calculator as we go, and we'll go from there. So first things first, you need unkillable champs for this comp. So I was very fortunate. I did the fusion to get Helicaf. So this is my first Helicaf that I got with the fusion. Helicaf was one of the best fusions for accessibility for new players to be able to do Ultra Nightmare or higher levels of Clan Boss, because his A3 features the block damage for 4 turns if he's booked. So that enables an unkillable team, and you can just run a slow Helicaf team. So I can't remember the speed that he needs, but it was the comp that I was doing before. So you just need 1 Helicaf in that, and then his shield blocks the stun, which is great. And I was doing probably 60 million damage, but that was still being 2 key. So what I was looking for is a 1 key Ultra Nightmare team. So when I pulled my second Helicaf, which he's just down here, and he's fully booked as well, this is my second Helicaf. I was fortunate enough to be able to build a truly unkillable team. But going back to the first one, so this is my first Helicaf. So he's running nearly 5,000 defense and 245 speed. So that is one of the speed requirements. I'll show you the speed requirements in a minute, and I'll just go over the sort of the space that you have between each champion. And I've tried to stack up a little bit of accuracy because I've just added a new DPS champ. I was using Feign before, who does decrease defense and weaken, but I'm not using that champ anymore, but I'll go through that in a minute. So I have tried to increase his accuracy as much as I can with glyphs to try and get the weaken on his A1, which is here. So he has the 30% chance, 50 when booked, to place weaken on the boss. So I've done exactly the same for this champion. For my other Helicaf, he isn't fully booked yet, but I do have the A3 booked just for that unkillable skill. And then these are his stats, a bit lower, so nearly 5,000, 4,800 defense, 100% crit, and as high a crit damage as I could get with 266 speed. I think that is the absolute minimum for this comp, for your fast unkillable champ. So that's my 2 Helicafs, and they're both got exactly the same masteries. I've got steadfast, so they're not stunned or hit by the stun, and then just your standard sort of clan boss build, and I've got exactly the same on this one. So I've got those 2, and then moving on, I've got, if I can find him, Seeker. So Seeker's in toxic gear. My toxic gear isn't great, but he did increase his damage when I used this toxic gear. I didn't have it on him when I first built this team, and he was only doing about 8 million damage on the run because I don't have the best gear in the world. So I put toxic in him, and now it's significantly increased. So Seeker's in there to make it a 2-for-1 team. He gives a speed boost to all the champs. Here it is. So a speed increase or a turn meter increase, so that it can build. So it can be a 2-for-1 team. And because this grants an extra turn, it says it's a three turn cooldown, but it's essentially a two turn cooldown. So Seeker has exactly the same masteries as my Helicaths, except he has Law of Steel on. He doesn't have any basic gear, so it doesn't matter that Law of Steel is on there for him. I might change it if I ever change up his gear, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. And then my next champion in there, the 4th champion, is Doom Priest, if I can find her. There she is. So Doom Priest has Blessing. I'll talk about the blessings in a minute. And she is just in as high a damage gear as I could get. She is 218 speed, which again is the minimum speed requirement. I did manage to stack up her crit damage quite a lot, but not as much as I would like it. I would like all the champions to have crit damage over 200%, but I just don't have the gear. And I don't have the silver to re-gear all my champions and move around the gear necessary to give this team the best gear I have on the account. So she has 3,400 attack, 100% crit rate, 101% crit rate, and 194 crit damage. And then the last champ, I was running Fane, and I've kept her in her gear. Fane is great because she does the decreased defense and weaken on a 4-turn cooldown. But because this is a 2-for-1 comp, I can pretty much keep that up all the time because the clan boss is moving slower than the actual champions. So if you do the masteries on there to extend, I think it is, let me find it, Master Hexa. So there's a 30% chance of extending the duration of any debuff. So you could have decreased defense and weaken up there for 3 turns of the clan boss, but in that time Fane will be going 4 times. So you can almost keep it up for the entirety of the fight. And also Fane has poison on a A2, which helps with the damage. But I've swapped her out and I now use Ninja as the 5th champion. Ninja's a bit of a dodgy one because his A1 does do a turn meter increase. But in this comp, I don't know if it's the common thing to be done, but using the Deadwood Jedi calculator, I just put him in at the same speed as Fane, which is, I think, the minimum speed for a DPS champion in this comp, and it works absolutely fine. So yeah, I've been running Ninja. Ninja is he's the champion that everyone hated but wanted him at the same time because he just does incredible damage to bosses. So his passive increases his attack and crit damage every time he uses all 3 of his attacks on the same turn. But because clan boss is all 1 turn, there's no different turns. His damage and his just overall damage increases for every time he rotates all 3 of his abilities. So then Ninja's gear again is not the best. I didn't even use my Fane gear on him, so this is just spare gear that I had in the background. So he's got 4,100 attack, 246 speed, 100 crit rate, and 152 crit damage. Again, once I get more silver, or if there's going to be an event for reduced silver cost for changing gear, I will be putting on the most damaging gear I have on this account. And I will be rolling up some more gear just to make sure that he's the best damage dealer that he can be. I've also got accuracy on him, 281 accuracy. It's a bit overkill, but I used the Hell Hades optimizer, and this is the result they gave me to get the most damage at this speed with over 150 accuracy. And his accuracy is important because he has the decreased defense on his A1. So in an ideal world, I need to re-gear one of my Helicaths to have accuracy, so weaken and decrease defense are on the A1 of Ninja and Helicath all the time. So then I've just got optimum damage, but I'm still 1-keying even without decreased defense and weaken on all the time on this comp. So it's only going to be an improvement once I do have that and have the ability to change my gear on these champs. So talking about blessings, my Helicath 1, which is what I call him because he was the first one I got. Helicath 1 has Brimstone as a blessing on there. It's a legendary skill, so it has to be on one of my legendaries. And I've only got 3 in this comp, but only 1 has a blessing. So he's got Brimstone for the extra damage. I put Cruelty on Doom Priest, so she doesn't do the most attacks. Obviously, every other attack is a non-hitting attack, so the Cruelty won't go on. But the clan boss, the clan boss run goes for 50 turns, so there's enough time to put Cruelty on there. For those of you who don't know, a certain percentage of Cruelty goes on the boss every time the champion attacks. So I just let that tick over, and then I think that's all the blessings I have on this comp. I've got more blessings on the other comp, and it did significantly increase the damage of the other comp, so I'll talk about that one in a minute. And then masteries on these other champs, on Ninja and Doom Priest, are exactly the same. I've got Steadfast on Seeker and the 2 Helicaths to stop them being the stun target, even though I haven't done my champion stat priority so that the stun target goes to my damage dealer or Doom Priest. They still get hit, but on Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare it doesn't really matter. And on Brutal I do enough damage in the long run, even though I die before the 50 turns is up, that it doesn't particularly matter at this point. So those are the 5 champions. I'll just go into Clan Boss. And I've already done my Ultra Nightmare keys, so if I scroll down a bit, so there's my 2 accounts right there. As you can see, they're both pretty level. And I'll go through my other champions on my other account, but on my Kael account, I hit 72 million today, which is more than enough for the top chest on Ultra Nightmare. So I'll go into here, I'll go on to Nightmare, and I'll show you a run. The team setup is quite unique. So the fast Helicath, which is at 266 speed, he goes first. He drops his unkillable first. I prioritised Winds of the Pit on both the champs to go second. It doesn't necessarily matter, but they hit much harder than the A1, so I just want them going off as much as possible. But the unkillable is the main priority on these. So both of them are set up the same, except one of them prioritises using the unkillable first, and then the other one does it on their second turn. And then Doom Priest is just as is, because Doom Priest is great, and Seeker just uses A1 on the first round, and then will default back to using his A2 into A1 every time. And then Ninja. So Ninja was interesting. On Brutal, if he uses Hailburn first, his Veil is up on the stun turn, so he's not targeted, and he's not targeted anyway when I'm against Magic Affinity. But I needed to change that because my Seeker was being hit instead. So he now uses his A3 first, and then prioritizes Hailburn to go first after that first initial turn. So that's the team setup. It runs on full auto, and I'll just get into it, and I'll let you guys see the results. And there you go, guys. As you can see, turn 24, and we've already hit 41 million on Nightmare. So, there's absolutely no worries about it. This will run up to turn 50 because it's fully unkillable. But for me, I will let it run for all 50 turns because I like to see what the high numbers I can make are. But it's really just about optimizing these champions. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy seeing the top damage that I can. If I can be the sort of top damage dealer in my clan, then I'll be really happy with the result. So yeah, I'll just leave it ticking over, and I'll show you what the damage is at the end. Alright guys, well, you can see I'm on the last couple of turns, the last 4 turns in this run. This is probably going to be one of my best damage results. It is on Nightmare, so the chances of getting decreased defense and weakened from a Helicath and my Ninja, they are higher because the accuracy requirement is different. It's lower than when on Ultra Nightmare, so I am hitting well over 1.5 million damage per turn. Once the run's over, I'll do a quick calculation, and I'll try and figure out exactly how much damage we're doing per turn. But as you can see, it's really comfortable. It's double the requirement of what we need for Nightmare, and it was just over the requirement we needed for Ultra Nightmare. And then Brutal and Hard, I do run them because you get 4 keys in a day for Clan Boss. So I do run all 4 of those. The Hard is minimal. I don't really need to do it. My clan doesn't do it. But any reward for a free key, I don't spend anything for the keys. So I think I might as well just use it. So we're just on the last turn now. It might be by chance just under 90 million. We'll just see what Ninja can pull out the bag on his last couple of turns. Hopefully with a couple of Giant Slayer procs we could hit 90 million. Will we do it? Just under. What a shit. Oh, Doom Priest pulled it out of the bag. There we go. 90 million. So let me just do a quick calculation. I'm terrible at maths. There's 1.8 million per turn we were doing on that run, which is great to see. That's absolutely fantastic. So so there you can see a damage breakdown. So we've got 17 million from Helicath 1, which is the first Helicath that I got, the slower Helicath. He's got better gear just because I geared him earlier on and I was able to pull off other champions and stuff like that. Then 11 million from Helicath 2. So that's the faster Helicath. He has less accuracy, probably less crit damage by the looks of things. I can't remember off the top of my head. 10 million from Doom Priest. Doom Priest is in there for her utility, you know, that's why Doom Priest is there. Doom Priest is not there to do damage. 14 million from Seeker, who has the Toxic set on. Again, not really there to do damage. I will maximise where I can, but Seeker's there for the utility and for the speed boost increase. And then Ninja with a whopping 36 million on this turn, so yeah, a huge amount from him. If I can really optimise his gear and get his crit damage up, then I can see him doing over half of the damage for one of these runs, especially on the lower level on Brutal and on Nightmare. So yeah, that's the result, guys. What I'll do is I'll log into my other account. I'll show you the champs that I use in that account because they are a bit different, and then I'll show you a run. And just like that, we're on my Galek account. So I did forget to mention I do use the resources that are out there in the community for raid. I use the Deadwood Jedi speed calculator, and I use this website for inspiration for comps. And I do use the Hell Hades optimizer just to try and maximise my gear and my champs, actually, just to my team comps for each of the dungeons and each of the bosses and stuff like that. But I will show you the Deadwood Jedi speed comps for this speed for this comp. So your first unkillable champion needs to be at 265 to 285. Seeker needs to be at 248 to 254, and then your DPS needs to be faster than your second unkillable champ. So 245 to 247, and the unkillable champ needs to be 245 to 247. But because of the sort of limitations in speed, what I've essentially found is that the second unkillable champ has to be 245 and the DPS has to be 246. Just for any speed sets or anything like that go into the true speed of your champ, because then you might become faster than Seeker, who has to be at a minimum of 248. And because that is the minimum, it's the best way to get damage out of Seeker or any other stats that you might need. The optimizer, the Hell Hades optimizer, will often give you the lowest speed requirement because of that. Obviously, I could just input into the optimizer and say 249 is the lowest speed, but I want to maximize my gear as much as possible. And then the cleanser needs to be at 218 to 227, and I use Doom Priest on both my accounts. And then I'll just show you the calculator that I do always use when I build a new Clan Boss team. So my speeds of my champion, I've got Warcaster on my Galek account. He's at 265. Seeker is at 249, and then I was very fortunate on this account. I've got Dracomorph, and he's at 246. He might be replaced by Ninja if I can get that comp 100% and really increases the damage on my other account. I will probably put Ninja into this account as well. And then my Helicath at 245 and Doom Priest at 220 on this one. So if I scroll down a bit, what I normally do on these is I don't want to look through every turn, but I'll go right to the end to make sure I'm killable right on the last couple of turns, which on this one you can see unkillable there and unkillable there. So yeah, absolutely unkillable all throughout. And then Doom Priest is the key player in this one, because after the stun, you need Doom Priest to go before the stun target. So as long as Doom Priest goes first in the turn order, then the stun will never affect the speed comp and you'll stay truly unkillable for the whole fight. So yeah, that's how I generally use it. I mean, if I really want to get into it, I go through every turn and make sure that I'm optimized in my turns. And if there is an issue throughout my run, then I will always come back to this calculator and see where the turns are varying. So if a different champion is being targeted by the stun, on Brutal, if I show you, Brutal, so if we go to the top, so Doom Priest doesn't start becoming the first person in the turn order until turn 4, so that's after the original stun. So if either of the Helicaf or the Unkillable champs of Warcaster and Helicaf in this team and Seeker, if any of them get stun targeted, then the comp is done. The speed tune it doesn't work. So you need to be careful on this first turn. That's why I was saying that Brutal isn't optimized as it could be, because I haven't geared my champions properly for the turn meter to go to both the DPS champions or the DPS and the cleanser in this instance. And I don't know if I ever will, because I still do more than enough damage even with the speed tune out to be able to hit top chest on Brutal. But yeah, there it is. There's a calculator, guys. And then I'll just run through my champions on my Galek account. So the day that I built this team, I went into the blessings. I can't remember what they're called. Soul stones. I pulled my soul stones, and I did get a 6-star Warcaster blessing. So that was incredible. Actually, it changed my account. So I did one run with this comp before I pulled that blessing, and I was doing just over 70 million. It was enough to one key, but it wasn't a lot by a lot. And if we had gone into affinities, I might not have done it. And then I pulled this and I put Phantom Touch on him, and I can see a bonus of about 39,000 for every hit that he does. So because it scales off your champion's attack. I have, again, this account was built exactly the same as the other account, and it was with the spare gear that I had lying around. It's 100% not optimized with the best gear on my account. Again, I will be waiting for a gear swap discount event, so that I can redo pretty much all of my main teams just to make this team the best that it can be. So Warcaster is at 265 speed with 4,000 attack and 195 crit damage. He doesn't need any accuracy in his build. So yeah, just trying to get as much attack and as much crit damage out of him as possible. And with blessing, that absolutely increases it. So then the next champion in the comp is my Helicaf, wherever he is. Helicaf, so he's a defense-based champion. So 5,100 defense and 132 crit damage. I don't need any accuracy in him because I'm using Dracomorph, 245 speed. But if I use Ninja instead of Dracomorph, then I will need to build accuracy into my Helicaf so he can put his weaken on. And then Seeker, again, Seeker's got a blessing. So Seeker's my champ with cruelty on this team, just to decrease the boss's defense just as much as I can with every run. We all know what Seeker already does from the last conversation. He's got 2,900 attack at 249 speed and nearly 200 crit damage. Again, Seeker's in here for utility. He's not in here for damage. It would be nice to increase his damage, but the utility is more important. And then we've got Doom Priest. Why can I never find the champ that I need? Doom Priest, I have a blessing for Doom Priest and I haven't put one on, so we'll do it on video. So I've already got cruelty. I can't put brimstone on her, so I think the next best thing would be Phantom Touch. So this is a small giant slayer prop essentially, and it's based off the enemy's attack, and because Doom Priest's damage is based through attack, she should be, she's not the best it could be, but she should be fairly high, and it'll give me 400 extra attack when I put this blessing on, so we'll go with that. And then we'll check her total stats. So yeah, nearly 3,000 attack, 220 speed, no accuracy needed, and 186 crit damage. And then the last champ, which is, everyone's favourite, Dracomorph. Dracomorph has Brimstone because he's a legendary, and then I built him. Dracomorph's in there for his decreased defense and weaken and poisons, so accuracy was the priority here, and then attack and crit damage came after. So 2,900 attack, 156 crit damage, and then accuracy and speed as needed for the clan boss. And then exactly the same setup. If I find my clan boss team. We're going to go on Nightmare again. And exactly the same setup with this team. So Helicaf is the Ghost second unkillable champ in this one, because Warcaster's unkillable only lasts for one turn. So his there is a bit of a, if it's only a one, if you're using one Warcaster essentially as your other unkillable champ, he needs to be the faster of the 2 unkillable champs. So Helicaf goes in with his Winds of the Pit as his opener, and then prioritizes his unkillable skill, and then goes from there and can default A1 where needed. Seeker, exactly the same, opens with his A1 and then defaults. Dracomorph, his priority is to get decreased defense and weaken on, and then to poison. He does have a cannon of an A1, but I don't have the stats to make it as strong as possible. So that's his focus. There are times in this comp where decreased defense and weaken is on, and he still does that skill. So I am missing a little bit of optimization there, but I think he could do more damage in the long run if he didn't prioritize this skill every single time it cooled down. But at the same time, I don't know, without doing the whole fight on manual, I don't think there's any way of changing that optimization, or if you didn't book him maybe, but I think that would be silly, to be honest. And then Warcaster, his A3 is priority 1, so he opens with it in the fight, and he's the first champion to go. And then I did his A2 as the second skill. It probably could just be the default AI, but I chose it anyway. And then Doom Priest is completely normal, increased attack, and her A1, but she's there to take off the stun when it hits. So there's the team, guys. I will go in for a run, and I'll come back to you to talk about the damage that I've done, and what the team can do. guys. Turn 47, we're nearly on turn 50, 75, nearly 76 million damage. I think from the gear that I have and showing you the sort of gear that I use on these champions, you can see why unkillable teams are so helpful in making clan boss accessible to newer or lower level players. I've been playing for sort of 2 years now, and I didn't have an unkillable champ on my Kael account until I pulled Helicath. And then sort of 2 weeks later, I pulled a second Helicath, which was absolutely ridiculous to me. But now that I've got them, and I had on this account, on my Galek account, I had Warcaster sitting in the background for ages. And I did pull a Man-Eater on this account. I was running a budget Man-Eater. And I just didn't think I had the gear to be able to hit the speeds that were needed for these unkillable teams. But I built both of my teams with spare gear that wasn't on my main champs that I use. I don't even think I stripped off my budget Man-Eater team for this team. Originally, I built this team without Dracomorph in it because I was worried it wouldn't hit the sort of minimum requirements needed for Ultra Nightmare. So you can see that I've beat the speeds, and I'm quite comfortably doing Clan Boss, Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare with the same team. So it just shows the sort of access that these champions give players. So a bit of a breakdown. So 10 million damage from Helicath. Not great, not as good as on my other account, but Helicath isn't as optimized as in my other account. Doom Priest with 12 million. Again, Doom Priest is in there for utility, so she's not really there to do damage, but 12 million, I'll take it anytime. 14 million on Seeker with the same story, there for utility, and he's got the cruelty blessing on him. Warcaster, Warcaster was a bit of a slept-on champion for me. He was in my vault, I didn't really think about him. He was there for when I got the second unkillable champ. Even though I had Man-Eater, I didn't really realise how useful Warcaster was going to be. So he was there just in the background, and it turns out he's my second highest damage dealer on this comp. I mean, the blessing helps, but I didn't know he would be able to do so much damage. And then Dracomorph with 26 million damage. So he is much lower than the ninja in the other comp, in the other account, but as you can see, my damage is a bit more spread out. It's a bit higher overall for all the champions. And then Dracomorphs has come down because he's just dealing damage from poisons. It's essentially all I want in there for, and his blessing with Brimstone. But yeah, there we go. Nearly 80 million Nightmare run. It easily hits 70 million for my Ultra Nightmare run, and it's just really useful to have these two accounts now doing one key Ultra Nightmare every day consistently, even with Affinity. So yeah, they're my Clan Boss teams, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the run. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.